let's bring in our senior national politics reporter, our chief international correspondent, and a former Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs. So, set the stage for us. What's the plan for Friday's big summit? And don't forget, if you want to stay updated on the latest news and current affairs, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow Nexo Stories.
Right now, plans are shaping up for Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin to meet a CAU-SWS discussion aimed at exploring a possible peace plan. There's even talk, according to White House insiders, that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky could be invited. But stepping back, the bigger picture is this. Vladimir Putin wants control over all of Ukraine, while Zelensky insists Russia should have none of it. Trump's approach has been to look for a middle ground, essentially deciding which parts of Ukraine could be conceded to Russia as a reward for its invasion. So far, there's no indication he's found a workable solution.
Kier, what exactly is Russian President Vladimir Putin hoping to achieve with this summit?
Putin's objectives here are layered. Tactically, one of his main goals is to stretch out the conflict, buying Russia more time in the belief, right or wrong, that Ukraine's front lines will eventually collapse. He also values the symbolic power of meeting face-to-face with an American president, something he consistently seeks. On the other hand, he's made it clear he has no desire to meet with President Zelensky unless absolutely necessary, as he doesn't consider Zelensky a legitimate leader of Ukraine. On a broader scale, Putin's aims have remained consistent. Over the years, keeping Ukraine neutral and out of NATO, maintaining influence over both Ukraine and the wider Eastern European region, and driving a wedge between Europe and the United States. In this summit, if it happens, he'll likely try to accomplish through diplomacy what he hasn't been able to achieve through military force. The sudden announcement of this meeting reportedly caught European leaders in London, Paris, Berlin, and Kyiv by surprise, along with some members of both the Trump administration and the Kremlin itself. Both Putin and Trump have a history of making unexpected decisions and announcements that even their own teams don't see coming. Right now, even the location is uncertain. While it's said to be in Alaska, the exact venue remains unclear. But to circle back to the original question, there's no real doubt about what Putin is aiming for. His goals are strategic, long-term, and unchanged.
There are still many unanswered questions, like who will actually be in the room with Trump and Putin. Will it just be the two of them, or will their teams be present? As we wait for today's press conference, perhaps President Trump will face these questions and reveal more details. It's worth remembering, Putin is ex-KGB. He knows how to say exactly what someone wants to hear without giving away much. Former U.S. Ambassador to Russia Michael McFaul has warned that there's always a risk of getting outmaneuvered by Putin, noting that summits are supposed to achieve goals that serve American national interests. They're a means to an end, not the end itself. But sometimes, it seems Trump views the meeting as the end goal. So, Rick, the question is, should the president and his team be preparing for this meeting? How should they prepare? And realistically, what can we expect to come out of it?
Anna, it's concerning that there doesn't seem to be much preparation for this meeting. Normally, something like this involves weeks of planning, with the president going through rigorous briefings and scenario tests. But Trump prefers to handle things spontaneously. You mentioned what could happen in the room with Putin. I've interviewed Putin for 3 hours back in 2006. He can easily spend 90 minutes talking about the history of the Russian Orthodox Church or Ukraine. So, as Mike pointed out, will Putin try to outmaneuver Trump? Absolutely. And that's far easier when you don't have a clear plan. We don't even know the exact location of the meeting, or who will be attending it. That, if left unclear, can set the stage for problems. Trump may believe he can improvise his way to a win, but in reality, he's already given Putin a symbolic victory. Remember, according to the International Criminal Court, Putin is a war criminal who can't enter most countries. Yet Trump has invited him to Alaska Place the U.S. bought from Russia in 1867, adding a twist of irony to the whole situation.
Speaking of the location, yes, the U.S. is inviting Putin here, but this is President Trump's home turf. Does that give him the upper hand?
By inviting Putin onto American soil, Trump is giving him something Russian leaders have long sought: a one-on-one meeting with the U.S. president. As Kier mentioned, this is always a major goal for Moscow. It's worth noting that President Obama avoided such meetings to prevent creating a sense of diplomatic equality between the two nations' leaders. Trump, however, seems to view it like a heavyweight bout that the whole world is watching. But in doing so, he's elevating Putin's status. The reality is, Russia's economy is roughly the size of Italy's and not among the world's top powers. Yet, by sitting down face-to-face on U.S. territory, Trump is already giving Putin a symbolic win.
John, at first the White House said that Putin meeting with Zelensky was a requirement before any Trump-Putin talks could happen. But now, that doesn't seem to be the case. Why the sudden change? And will Zelensky even be invited to Alaska?
The short answer is this. The flip-flop is happening because nothing so far has worked for this. White House. The president perhaps naively promised to end the war in Ukraine on day one. He also vowed there would be no war in the Middle East, and that he could bring the conflict in Gaza to an end. But foreign policy has proven far more difficult than expected, and now he's scrambling to deliver on those promises. In doing so, he hasn't fully considered Russia's goals or Ukraine's goals. Yet here we are. Putin has been invited to Alaska, onto American soil. Why choose a location that requires such long travel for both leaders? A European venue, like Helsinki, where they've met before, might have made far more sense. Right now, the president is desperate for wins today. He's even launching a domestic law enforcement push in Washington, D.C. As for inviting Zelensky, that will only happen if he believes it will help him score one of those much-needed victories.
According to a senior U.S. official and 3 sources familiar with the talks, the White House is considering inviting Zelensky to Alaska, though it's still just under discussion. If he does make the trip, it's unclear whether he and Putin would even be in the same room. That's according to one of the people briefed on the matter. So Rick, if Zelensky actually goes, what could this scenario look like?
It could easily turn into a spectacle, and that might be exactly what Donald Trump wants, a global circus with the world's eyes on him. Negotiations like this shouldn't even happen without Zelensky, who is obviously a key party in this conflict. But Putin has made it clear he won't meet Zelensky under any circumstances. It's possible Zelensky might still travel there as a bold move, and perhaps Trump would meet with him separately. But the real issue is how unorganized this all is. No clear plan, no set structure. Attempting high-level negotiations in such a chaotic setup is risky and potentially dangerous.